Let's talk about a feeling that I'm guessing is pretty familiar to a lot of us. That awful sinking feeling in your stomach when someone you really care about just starts to pull away. You know what I mean. The texts get shorter, plans suddenly become vague, and you can just feel this invisible wall going up. And what's the usual reaction? Right. A total spiral of anxiety, confusion, and what did I do wrong? But what if there was a totally different way to handle it? Today, we're going to break down how a securely attached person deals with this exact scenario. And spoiler alert, it's not with drama, but with this incredible, powerful clarity.
So this is the big question, right? What actually happens when someone who's comfortable with closeness, a secure person, gets involved with a partner who kind of sees intimacy as a threat to their freedom, an avoidant person? It's not the big, explosive drama you might be thinking of. Nope. Instead, it's like watching a masterclass in emotional intelligence unfold.
And wow, this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? It shows the two very different paths you can take. Over on the left, you've got the anxious reaction we all know. The panic, the chasing, the obsessive thoughts, that whole emotional roller coaster. But then look at the right side. That's the secure response. And it's a whole different world, isn't it? Calm, a natural stepping back, a deep sense of self-respect that leads to, well, peace of mind. The goal here is to figure out how we get from that first column over to the second.
What's so interesting is that this whole dynamic actually has a name. Attachment researchers call it the anxious avoidant trap. And it really is a trap. It's this painful dance where the more one person leans in and tries to get closer, the more the other person instinctively pulls back. It just feeds on itself, this vicious cycle where both people end up feeling totally misunderstood and triggered by their deepest relationship fears.
So how in the world do you get out of a trap like that? Well, it all starts with a fundamental shift in your mindset. And to really get why a secure person reacts so differently, we first need to do a quick breakdown of the core attachment styles that are basically running the show in our relationships. Okay, first up we have anxious attachment. So someone with this style, they really crave closeness and intimacy. A lot of their mental energy can get wrapped up in their relationship, and there's often this nagging worry underneath it all, a fear that their partner doesn't love them back or that they're going to leave. And that underlying fear, that's what fuels the panic when they feel someone pulling away. And on the flip side of that coin, you have the avoidant attachment style. For these folks, getting too close can feel like they're losing their independence, like they're being suffocated. So their main drive is to keep a certain amount of distance to avoid feeling overwhelmed. And it's so important to get this. It's not usually about being cold or heartless. It's a deeply ingrained defense mechanism to protect their sense of self.
And that brings us to the secure style. Honestly, this is the blueprint for a healthy relationship. Secure individuals are just comfortable with intimacy. They can depend on others, and they're cool with others depending on them. There's no fear there. They are fantastic at communicating their needs and hearing their partner's needs, because they see relationships as a safe space for both people to grow, not some kind of battle.
This all leads to this really cool concept from attachment science called the dependency paradox. You know how our culture is all about being 100% self-sufficient? Well, this idea turns that completely on its head. The paradox is this: real, true independence doesn't come from pushing people away. It comes from having a secure, reliable person to lean on. When you know deep down that someone has your back, it actually makes you braver and more confident to go out and take on the world. And that belief is the bedrock of the secure response. Okay, so we've got the mindset down. Now let's get super practical. What does a secure person actually do when their partner starts creating that distance? It really boils down to a 3-step process that's as simple as it is powerful. So, here it is, the secure response playbook, broken down into 3 key actions. First, in the face of inconsistency, they just automatically start to lose interest. It's not a game, it's a natural reaction. Second, they have this incredible ability to not take the other person's behavior personally. And third, they communicate what they need clearly and directly with no games. Let's dig into each of these. Okay. This first step is absolutely crucial. For a secure person who's wired to expect a consistent and reliable connection, inconsistency is a massive turnoff. Those mixed signals don't create some exciting mystery for them to solve. They just signal that this person isn't compatible. Their attraction literally starts to fade because their core need for a steady connection just isn't being met. It's really that simple.
And this isn't some vague feeling, they're actually picking up on something specific. Secure people instinctively recognize what attachment theory calls deactivating strategies. Think of these as the little tactics avoidant people use, often unconsciously, to create distance. You know, things like suddenly focusing on your tiny flaws, or pulling away right after a really intimate moment, or just mentally checking out while you're talking. A secure person sees these and doesn't think, oh, I need to try harder. They think, okay, time to pull back.
Now for step 2, which is basically a psychological superpower. A secure person has a solid sense of their own self-worth that just doesn't depend on their partner's approval. So when an avoidant partner pulls away, their internal monologue isn't, oh my God, what did I do wrong? It's more like, okay, I see what's happening. This is their pattern. This is how they protect themselves. This has nothing to do with my value as a person.
And that leads us right into step 3, communicating directly. A secure person will state their needs calmly and clearly, without any blaming. They'll say something like, hey, I've noticed a bit of distance between us lately, and for me to feel happy and secure in a relationship, I really need a more consistent connection. See how that's not an attack? It's really a litmus test. How their partner responds tells them everything they need to know. A partner who's also secure, or at least willing, will lean in and try to understand. An avoidant partner, they'll likely feel criticized and pull away even more.
So, this brings the secure person to a really important crossroads. They've observed the behavior, they've communicated their needs, and now they have to make a choice. Is this a situation where I can offer support and act as a stabilizing force? Or is it time to set a firm boundary, which might mean walking away? Now, in some relationships, a secure person can have this incredibly positive effect. It's called the secure buffering effect. Basically, their calm, consistent, and loving presence acts like an anchor for their more insecure partner. It can help the other person regulate their own emotions and slowly, over time, start to feel safer with intimacy. It's amazing. This steady presence can actually help their partner become more secure themselves. But choosing to be that buffer requires a very delicate balance. It means being present for them but not chasing them, offering support but not demanding anything in return. It means being patient, but not letting yourself become a doormat. And most of all, it means staying totally grounded in your own self-worth so you can offer them a safe harbor without getting sucked into their emotional storm. Okay, but here is the million-dollar question. Because there has to be a line, right? A secure person is above all protective of their own emotional well-being. So how do they know when they've crossed that line, when being a supportive partner turns into abandoning themselves? Well, they listen to their own internal alarms. Attachment science is pretty clear on this. A relationship is becoming unhealthy for a secure person when they start picking up the traits of the other attachment styles. If they find themselves constantly feeling worried or agitated, if they start walking on eggshells and second-guessing everything they say, or if they're even tempted to start playing games themselves, they recognize these as huge red flags that the dynamic is pulling them away from their secure foundation. And that leads to this powerful realization. This isn't me anymore. A secure person's identity is so tied to feeling calm, authentic, and safe in their relationships. The second they feel like they're losing that, like they're becoming this agitated, withdrawn person they don't even recognize, they know the relationship is no longer a healthy place for them to be. So let's wrap all of this up. What is the big takeaway from the secure person's playbook? It all comes down to this: shifting your entire goal in relationships from chasing after chaos to choosing clarity. And this might be the single most empowering message of all. A secure mindset is built on this core belief that you do not have to chase or convince or audition for someone's love. Your worth is a given. You simply show up as your authentic self, you state your needs clearly, and you choose to be with people who are willing and able to meet you there. And really, what it all comes down to is this: the goal isn't to fix another person. The goal is to create a relationship built on mutual respect and emotional safety. Secure people don't take rejection personally. They see it as information. They use it to filter for compatibility. They value their own peace. They demand clarity. And they choose to build a life with people who can offer them the same. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What might change for you? What kind of people might you attract? What kind of connections might you build? If in every single interaction, you chose your own peace of mind over the chaotic chase for someone else's approval.